me the question about Iraq. Ask it.
Joe, was the war a good idea?
No, it's all, you know, in retrospect, it was a horrible idea. As bad an idea as sticking your face in a blender. What's your next question?
Knowing what we know now, would you do the same thing?
No, absolutely not. When you make horrible mistakes in your life, you don't repeat them. And it's, Nicole, this is what's so confounding is all Republicans agree.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the big story for whatever reason is Jeb Bush's answer to Megyn Kelly's question, where I can't help but believe, since he brought up and said so would Hillary and so would the others, meaning he was talking about knowing what we knew then. He wasn't answering knowing what we know now. But I want to talk about all this with Brent Budowsky, writer for The Hill, former aide to Senator Lloyd Bentsen, my favorite liberal, who wrote a great piece at The Hill called Jeb Implodes Over Iraq. Brent, welcome. Why do you think all the fuss about this?
Well, I'll tell you what the story behind the story, besides the obvious. The relationship between Jeb and George Bush and the Iraq War was obviously all along a really important question. And what Jeb said on his first position, where he said he would have done it, on a second position where he said he wouldn't tell us whether he would have done it, now he's got a third position after my column, that it wouldn't be in the interest of the troops to tell us what he would have been done. What that tells us, and it tells the political community, is he didn't prepare. He was sloppy, he was lazy, he was not ready for one of the most obvious questions that everyone knew he would be asked going back from the beginning of him thinking about running for president. So I thought it really was a major gaffe. Now, I've been kind of on a roll this week. I wrote a column in The Observer criticizing President Obama very strongly for attacking Elizabeth Warren and liberals.
Yep.
So you know, and because Matt Drudge bannered it, I thought there was a chance the president would read it anyway, but I almost guarantee that he and the Clintons read that column.
You better watch out. You might be audited.
No, but I mean, frankly, I was not a happy camper, choosing my words for a family network here. I mean, it was absurd and ridiculous for the president to be attacking Elizabeth Warren and liberals over trade. And if you go to observer.com when you read that as how Barack Obama would read it when he probably read it after Drudge ran it right at the top of the page. So I just wanted to do a little equal time in my column today about Jeb Bush.
Well, but just as an aside, do you think that the attacks on Elizabeth Warren by Obama are indeed sexist?
No, I don't think they're sexist. I think they're stupid. And frankly, when I first heard about this stuff going, I wrote a memo. It was Saturday morning. I was sitting at the Ritz, one of my writing spots, falling on the floor when I read that. I wrote a savage memo, one copy of which went to the White House. Simultaneously, visibly, it went to one of Hillary Clinton's top aides, and I said to them privately, stop it. That may be one of the single most stupid things I've ever heard from the president of any party about anybody in his own party. And I was ready to leave well enough alone until he did it again. I've never seen anything like this. It was a blunder. But to say that Elizabeth Warren doesn't believe what she says, that she was doing it for political motive and not sincerity, was a defamation and a shame. He should be ashamed. I can't imagine what was in his head when he said that.
All right, but Brent, is it because she's a Democrat and a woman, or both, or neither? Because he says that about Republicans all the time.
Well, I mean, candidly, and I have offered this advice to the White House privately, I don't think it's wise to speak that way of Republicans. I mean, if you read my columns, I do oppose them on a lot of things, but I do find moments of opportunity to say some favorable things. But I think our debates ought to be intelligent and civil and reasoned, and you don't go out of your way to demean anybody. I wish I had $1 for every time I thank John McCain for something that he's done. So I think it's wrong when he talks that way about Republicans. I think he's created, to some degree, an anger among Republicans for the way he is condescending and elitist and talks down to them. Even when I agree with the president when he talks about Republicans, which on policy I usually do, I think his tone of voice and his attitude represent an attitude problem that has not served him well in the presidency. And one other quick thing, most presidents have had somebody like a Jim Baker or a Kenny O'Donnell for the Kennedys, who could walk into the Oval Office as a near equal, close the door, and tell the president privately, you're making a mistake. I don't think Barack Obama has anyone that does that. I don't think he wants anyone that will do that, and I think that's hurt him.
All right, let me ask you, have you given any money to the Clinton Foundation?
I can't afford to.
Okay. Do you think it was wrong for George Stephanopoulos to have given? Now it turns out the report is he confessed to 50, but now the reports are it was $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation and not reveal it basically until he got caught.
Oh, yeah. Look, I don't think there was anything wrong with George Stephanopoulos giving the money. I think there is something wrong that he didn't disclose it openly and honestly. And I think there was something wrong that he reported on the controversy without telling his audience and the world that he did make that donation. That, I think, was wrong. The donation wasn't wrong. The lack of disclosure was wrong. I'm an open disclosure guy. I don't like secret trade deals. I don't like conflicts of interest that aren't disclosed. I don't care who does it. I think they're all wrong.
But Brent, does that bother you with Hillary?
Does what bother me with that?
You're an open disclosure guy. She's the antithesis of open disclosure.
No, actually, though, she has good news and bad news. And I've been straight about this publicly as well as privately. They have disclosed donations to the foundation, which is good. I have publicly and privately urged that the foreign donations stop long ago. I think they were a mistake. I've been very visible about that. That I support her. I love her. I think it was wrong. I think she
well, what about the emails? She didn't disclose those.
Well, they didn't take my advice on the email issue.
Yeah, but Brent, with all due respect, and I love you, you know that.
Yeah.
Aren't you being a hypocrite here?
No, I'm not supporting what she did on the emails. I think that was a mistake.
That you're not supporting the emails. You're not supporting the foreign donations continuing.
Right.
I mean, she's as untransparent. Are you supporting the fact that she hasn't talked to the press in 23 days?
Well, I don't blame any politician if they can get away with not talking to the press in 23 days. I'll bet you Jeb Bush wishes he hadn't talked to the press in 23 days. But no, I am an open government guy. I'm an open disclosure guy.
And she's the opposite, Brent, on everything.
Well, look, you know, Pope Francis I will nominate for sainthood. Hillary Clinton I never have. I can support her. And think she'd make a good president, but I can disagree about doing all these private emails, and I can disagree about the foreign donations. One thing I learned a long time ago is these guys are not saints, and I learned, especially after 2008, where I did get a little carried away, may the Lord forgive me, about Barack Obama's possibilities. You know, I try to be straight. I can support Hillary. I can think she'd make a good president. I can think she'd make a better president than anyone else. But I'm not going to support the private emails.
Okay.
I think that was wrong.
Good. All right, Brent, great talking to you. We'll do it again soon. Thank you, my friend.
Sure.
All right, Brent Budowsky, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, Michael Rubin. Don't go away.